welcome to our podcast, Dr. Diaries Adventures to Ireland. I'm your host, Graham. The aim of this podcast is to showcase doctors' relocation journeys to Ireland. So whether you're a doctor interested in the move or just curious about life in Ireland, this is the podcast for you. Now, let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Dr. Diaries Adventures to Ireland. Today we're welcoming on Mohamed Mustafa onto the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. And again, a shame, I'm slapping myself on the wrist here that you've been here for so long and I've yet to actually physically meet you in person after all this long journey, starting off with your first stop on your Irish tour being in Tullamore. So it's on my list for 2025 to catch up in person finally and have a coffee.
Yeah, sure we will. Yeah.
Best place for us to start, Mohamed, is where your whole Irish journey began. And that brings us back to, if I'm right in saying, 2017.
So the paperwork, I started doing the paperwork 2017, 2018.
Okay.
But I came to Ireland, I started in 2019, the beginning of 2019. So so I was trying to get to Ireland, I remember, and I was looking into the websites, the HSE websites. I was looking into LinkedIn, and I remember I found your profile. I can remember that quite well, and I sent you a message. And at that time, I didn't start the application yet, like nothing. I was just trying to find out what I'm doing. And then I texted you, and I remember you told me, like, finish the registration. If you want any help with the registration, we can help you, tell you guidance, and then you'll just get back to me when you get it done. And surprisingly, you were following up with me. That was very interesting for me. Like, wow, okay. Finished the paperwork. To be honest, I was lucky finishing the paperwork quickly, because I remember that people usually would take a year to get their paperwork done. I think I finished in about 6 months. In 9 months, I had a contract in my hand. So, like, that was amazing.
Yeah, a pretty quick turnaround. And you're fortunate because the delays with the medical council these days are quite a lot longer than that. So it was a very quick turnaround.
To be honest, I was very fortunate. It's just happened. So I was lucky with that. And came to Ireland in 2019. I started in Tullamore. So Tullamore is a small town. Is it a small town in the Midlands? It's very nice there. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I landed there, like how small it is. So I come from Egypt, from Cairo. Okay. So Cairo is the capital of Egypt. It's completely different from here. So when I came here, everybody was telling me, like, if you go to Dublin, Dublin is crazy busy. Okay. But Cairo alone, the population is 15 million.
Yeah, Ireland's population is 5.
Yes, exactly.
So for context, yeah.
So so when I came to Dublin, like, well, Dublin is very chill. Like, that's amazing. So you can imagine how Tullamore was for me. Like, it was very small, very quiet, but I liked it because it had everything for me.
Yeah. And a great place to start as well, wasn't it?
Yes, and that's another thing, because I started in Tullamore. I got all my paperwork there as a start, like the getting your bank account, your PPS number, your immigration, everything. I got that in a week, done. Everything done in a week, and that's it. Just because it's small, it's all about, the demand, how many people are doing all these stuff there. So it was less than Dublin. So I got it very quickly. Well, I can remember, if people are coming to Dublin, no, things take longer. They need appointments. You have to wait to get their appointments. Maybe it can take a month, 2 months or 3 months to get the things done. So that's another thing that I was lucky with. Like, I started there. I didn't.
There's perks to going to the smaller towns to start.
Yeah, definitely. So that's when I started in Tullamore. Stayed in Tullamore for a year, and to be honest, it was a very good year, very productive year. During this year, like, I got used to what's happening in the system, started to understand. To be honest, it was a little bit difficult at the beginning, especially with the accent. So the Midlands, for me,
take us through that. What was and it's a culture shock, right? It's a language shock and a culture shock.
I'll tell you something. If you go to Tullamore, they do a lot of orthopedic surgeries, okay? And most of the cases are elderly people above the 70s and the 80s, okay? And most of them, they don't have their dentures with them, okay?
Okay.
You can add the accent to that. Okay, so I remember for the first so for the first couple of weeks I couldn't understand anything, like nothing.
How did you
At a
get
point,
by?
well, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't talking to the patients. I just went to the files because it was much easier. And then and I was asking my colleagues because it was very difficult. Like I could never get anything from any patient, like just the normal conversation. I wasn't understanding what's happening. But after a couple of weeks, I got used to it. Like, yeah, okay, now I understand the accent. I know what's happening. I know where to get the stuff. So, but yeah, at the beginning, it was completely different than the English I learned. Like, that's completely different. But you get used to it.
Yeah.
And also during this year, because Tullamore there is a good balance between the work and your life and your time for yourself. So I had plenty of time to study. So I finished my exams there. I did the fellowship exam, both the OSCE and the written, when I was in Tullamore, which was great. Like I passed them. And when I moved to Dublin, I had everything sorted by that time, like the paperwork, the exams. I was just had to focus on the pathway I'm going through.
Sure. So you jumped from your first job as an anaesthetics registrar in Tullamore after a year, which, by the way, is quite unusual. You were then able to jump into a teaching hospital in Dublin, and you've stayed in
Yes.
Dublin ever since.
Yes, so I've been in Dublin since then, moving between hospitals. So just to make it clear for people what you need to do with anesthetics, okay? So if you are a trainee, we call anybody who's not a consultant a trainee, okay? Because they are on their way to be a consultant. So you either have a pathway, which is the SET scheme, which is a scheme run through 6 years. You do one interview and that's it. You're done by the end of the 6 years. Okay. Or you have the alternative pathway or the parallel pathway where you have to find a job every 6 months or a year by yourself, doing interviews, trying to get the training modules and get signed off for what's needed. You're between a run through scheme, but the problem with the run through scheme that you can go anywhere. So at a moment you can be in Dublin, and then the next year you can be in Mayo, and then you can be in Sligo. Like it's just how it rotates. Okay. While
And
if
that's the
you
same
are,
with most specialties, isn't it, Mohammed? I think
yes, yes,
there's a few rare specialties where you can stay for the whole training in the one hospital, but most you are rotating around the country.
mostly you're rotating around the country. But if you are doing your own thing, your parallel pathway, then you can pick the hospitals. And that's where you can be very smart about it. Like I applied for the scheme. I remember in 2020, 2021 after COVID. And I remember one consultant was telling me, you're better off that, like you will be moving with your family, with everything every now and then, you won't have control. So I didn't get into the scheme because at that time I didn't have the stamp for. So that's why I didn't get it. But the point is, I was better off because I had to choose the hospitals myself. I got to stay in Dublin. I stayed in the same place, picking hospitals, just being smart in what you're choosing to do next.
Okay. And the
Uh,
important piece is each of those strands has to be signed off
yes.
by the supervising consultant. Is that right?
Yes, we call them the college tutors. So the college is the College of Anesthesiologists of Ireland. So the college tutors, they get you signed off. There is, if anybody is interested, there is a list of 25 hospitals. It's in the college website. These are the hospitals that are accredited for training that can sign you off. So if you're picking between hospitals trying to get signed off, these are 25 hospitals that you target.
Great. Okay. Brilliant. And that's super helpful for others to know. Again, you hear all things around how competitive the Irish training scheme is, but that there is another option. And you did exactly that. And it suited you in the end because you
Yeah.
didn't have to relocate your family every 6 or 12 months.
Yeah. So just as for the statistics, so people can know, you have 50% of the trainees are scheme trainees, like the run through scheme, and the other 50% are non-SAT trainees. And here comes the silver lining of COVID. Okay. So when I came in 2019, Nobody knew anything about the parallel scheme. When I landed, I was talking to people. They told me, like, nobody's getting it. Like, it's not happening. No way it's happening. Nobody knows what's happening. And then after COVID, it just happened that the college or whoever in charge realized that how much these people put in effort to save the system, like to help the system. And in return, there is a lot of guidance, or there is actually a pathway for us. Like, it's very obvious, it's very clear. People are getting it. Every now and then you hear that one of our colleagues, non-SAT, is getting the eligibility letter to be a consultant. So things have changed. So when I came, it was complete, like, not, no, it's not happening. But now people are getting it. It's fine. It's getting done. And people are very helpful trying to get people signed off.
Dare I say it, a positive that came from COVID in that recognizing
Yeah, definitely.
what as you're factored as IMGs or international medical graduates, the value you bring to the Irish system and how it should be paid back to doctors like yourself. And I said you're a prime example of that. And now currently you're a clinical fellow.
I am a fellow in the Rotunda Hospital at the moment.
Yeah,
I've been there for 6 months. I'm staying for another 6 months, and I'm waiting for the medical council to get back to me. So I'm hoping for the next couple
sure.
of weeks. So yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's exciting, and then that'll bring you on to that next phase of being a consultant here in Ireland.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah, scary but new phase.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's worthwhile highlighting you've sort of hypercharged your process to getting to that point, haven't you? Whereas a lot of other doctors, it takes a good bit more time, but somehow you're focused, you're diligent, you're set on your plan, and that was sticking to Dublin, sticking to that list of trainee hospitals, and finding that mentor. No doubt that's guided you along the way to say this is the pathway that you should go. And now sharing your story today, you've highlighted that it's very possible for others to do the same.
Yeah, so it's very possible. And one thing that's really helped me, uh, talking to the right people. Because I remember when I moved to Dublin, I used to think about applying for jobs, or getting my, you call it your CV, building your CV in a certain way. And then when you talk to the people in the system, like I remember I was sitting with an Irish consultant who has been in the system maybe as a consultant for at least 10 to 15 years. And he went through my CV, asked me about everything, trying to make it look better. Not look better, but how to build on the CV. And I realized that there are a lot of things that I have done before, but I couldn't put it in the right way because I don't know what are people looking for here. And at the same time, he would tell me, like, for the next step you need to do such and such. For the next step, it's better to get signed off for such module. So just getting to talk to the right people, and as you're saying, mentoring from the right people is just makes huge difference.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Anything else you'd like to add in terms of your career journey here before we touch on those cultural nuances in a bit?
No, I think that's all. I think it's the only thing. Yeah, it's just, I think it's doable. It takes effort, it takes dedication
Yeah.
and focusing. That's all. You have to be focused. You have to be very sharp. You have to know what you're doing.
And like I said, what a trajectory your career has gone on to, from starting off in Tullamore, where your whole journey began. So, work aside, talk us through how you've, at the beginning, you threw yourself into Irish culture, and did you seek out other Egyptian communities, or did you say, no, I want to, yourself and your partner, I want to embrace our new Irish life? Sure.
Simply as that. So when
Yeah.
I landed in Tullamore, I didn't find a single Egyptian. Okay, not a single Egyptian. And then it was very frustrating. I would say it wasn't very frustrating for me because I'm not very sociable. I'll be very clear. Like, I'm not very people person, but my wife is, like, she's very sociable. She would go to talk to the neighbors, introduce herself. She can go out with them. Like, she's very outgoing. So it was very frustrating for her at the beginning, but surprisingly things changed very quickly. Like, people were very, very kind. The people are very very approachable. Do you want to help you? I remember our first landlord, he was very kind. So when we came together, he knew that we knew nobody. So I remember he used to call us on the weekend to take us for walks and go and walk
Wow,
just
how
with the dogs,
nice.
so that just
Yeah.
to help us get used to it. He told us, like, he used to be in Australia. He met his wife in Australia, and he remembers how it used to be tough for him to be alone in a country that he doesn't know anybody. So he used to take us out. That's the landlord.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do any of that. And then Tullamore, it's very small cities, like town, so everybody knows everybody. So he started introducing us to his friends, and that's how we moved to another place. And then we met the neighbors, and we used to go out with the neighbors. So
Okay.
it was okay. When we came to Dublin, it's a little bit different. It's busy. You don't get to know the neighbors like that. But in Tullamore, it was very, very nice. But then moving to Dublin, you don't get that. But at the same time, you have bigger community of different cultures. So you can find the Egyptians, the Arabs, all the people, like the neighbor here, them living here, like most of them are Egyptians and Arabs and everything. It's just very comfortable. It's fine. So that's how getting socially, you just get comfortable. Yeah.
Sure. And then how have you found having you've had your two kids here whilst being in Ireland? How have you found
Yeah,
adapting to that?
I forgot to tell you about that. So so yeah, so our first baby, we got our first son in COVID. So he was born in June 2020. Uh, and that was very, very, very tough, because it was the time when there was a lockdown, and the restrictions was the 5 kilometers restrictions. So we were only by ourselves. We couldn't get any of our parents in, and friends, even friends, they couldn't visit us because they were worried about the baby in case they have COVID or
Sure.
anything like that. So the max they would do, they would just come by, say hello from the door, and leave us some food, and that's all. So that was a tough one. But then afterwards, things are much, much easier. Now my older son is in school. The younger one, he goes to crash. So things are much, much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the COVID time, it was difficult. But finding activities for the kids, no, it's pretty easy. Like, everything here is good. You have some indoor activities, outdoor or sports. The boys have been playing football since they were 6 months old.
Okay.
Yeah. We're very big. I don't know how to play football. Like, I'm very bad in football, but it just happens that when we go, but it just happened
Better
that.
have them join a club than
Oh
have
no,
you teach them.
they're much better than me. So yeah, so you can, you can get the kids engaged in a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Great, amazing, and that's a big piece. I know it's different in your instance. For a lot of others, will be moving here with their family already and with their kids already, and it is, aside from settling into a brand new job in a brand new city or country, also you're having to factor in your partner and your kids in this whole exchange, and how are they settling in. So it is a really big deal, but like I said, slightly made easier by the fact that
Oh yeah,
they were born here. Slightly
exactly.
easier again, not
Yes.
taking away
Yeah,
from the challenges, Mohammed, which
the COVID bit was hard. So the COVID
yeah,
bit, yeah,
sure.
that's hard. But yeah, it's true. Like, when you see people who are coming with children when they're, for example, 7 or 8 years old, just getting them in school, them getting used to the school, getting friends, having friends again, it can be tough on the kids. But yeah, as you said, like, when they're born here, they're just here. They're used to
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah. Amazing. Tell me, moving on, for yourself and your wife, what was the most surprising aspect of living and life here in Ireland?
The weather.
Yeah, well, that's stating the
I
obvious
know.
there, Mohammed,
I
slightly.
know, I know. We were told about the weather, okay? Like, we were told.
Yeah,
We were told it's cold. We were told it's in the winter is hard, okay? Like,
yeah,
it's very it's very dark, okay?
yeah,
But the problem in Ireland is not the cold. It's not the very long nights during winter. No, no, no. It's just about being unpredictable. That's the
sure.
hardest. That's the part. Like, all of a sudden, it's sunny, it's amazing, and then just 5 minutes later, It's just raining and it's cold and it's windy. My sister, she lives in Canada, and Canada is much, much more colder than here. And she
Yeah.
came to visit me, was it, I think, last year, and she caught a cold. She couldn't stand the fluctuations in the
Okay.
weather. Yeah, she got a cold. She couldn't stand it. Like she said that it's very weird. It's very unpredictable, and she got
Yeah.
sick. Yeah. So
So you've had your fair share of four seasons in one day, which people
yeah,
hear about.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's different. It's completely different, and you don't know what to wear. Like you put on, like it's just very difficult. You just dress in
Yeah.
layers. Because I don't know if you read this term, like dress as an onion. Have you read this before?
No, I haven't. No.
No, because I run, so I play
Okay.
triathlons, so that's another thing.
Yeah.
So there is something called dress as an onion. Okay, so dress in layers. So you should have a basal layer and then a layer on top and then another layer on top, so that when you're starting to warm up and then you start to get more warm during the workout, you can take off these layers.
Okay.
So
So
in Ireland,
that's
I
your
found
advice for adapting to Irish weather.
definitely dress as an
Yeah.
onion.
I think I'm gonna have to take that one away myself too. And at the time it's worth noting, at the time that we're recording this, Mohammed, it's snowing here in
It
Ireland.
is. It is
We're
snowing. Yeah, I can
yeah.
see it there. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're fortunate on I'm based in Wicklow and you're in Dublin, of course. On the East Coast, we haven't been too badly hit with it, but for the majority of the rest of the country, it's been pretty bad. So to a degree, we're lucky we don't get the harsh Irish weather that much on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So we don't have to dress as big as an onion as those out in Galway or Clare.
Yeah, yeah. No, but the weekend will be nice. If you look at the forecast, the weekend will be nice again. The highs of ones or tens, so it will be fine.
Yeah,
I'm
and
getting
people
used to it.
listening to this in Egypt, when you say highs of nines and tens, will be thinking, "What are they on about?" Very good. Well, come here. That helps us swiftly move on to our quick fire round, and that is just asking a couple of questions to see how ingrained you guys are now into Irish society. Tell me, firstly, favorite place to visit in Ireland?
The best place I visited, not the best, the most amazing place I visited is Cove. Do you know Cove in Cork?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So Cove in Cork, it's just amazing. So first thing, the West is amazing. Okay, like nobody denies that the West is great. Like the scenery there is great. But just Cove, I was there last year. It's just different. It has a bit of everything. So you can see the scenery. It's very old. It's kind of touristic more than residential. The houses there are very old, and at the same time, you have a lot of history there. If people know about, so Cove is a city in Cork, and there is an island there. It's called Spike Island, and
Yes.
the island used to be a prison, so that the prisoners wouldn't escape
Okay.
to the harbor itself. So when you go there, you can just sit on the harbor. The harbor is amazing. It's very beautiful, and you can get tours to the island itself. Take a tour to see the prison, what was happening there. So there's also a lot of history around the place. So I think it's one of the most amazing places I visited in Ireland, Cove.
Amazing. And I'll have to admit, as a typical dub, I have not been down to that neck of the woods in quite a long time. So I'll take that top tour tip and have to go down to Spike Island at some point.
You should.
Great stuff. Next one, favorite Irish celebrity.
Oh, oh yeah. Okay, I'm very bad in celebrities. Okay, but I will tell you an Irish actor that I know.
Okay,
Okay,
that's a good start.
so okay, I'll tell you a story. Once we had a celebrity. I can't remember her name, of course, and I'm not going to say it. But anyway, because I don't remember it, and she
Yeah.
was having her baby. But that was when I was in Hull Street. And then I went inside and talked to her and everything, and I didn't know that she was a celebrity. Like nobody told me she was. Okay, like nobody
Okay.
highlighted it. And then I came
Yeah.
out of the room, and then people were sort of asking me, like, "Did you talk to her? Like, how was she? Like, blah 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 blah." Like, guys, like, it's just she's a normal person. And then I realized the whole thing. Okay, now she's an actor. That's why she has the makeup and everything. Like, okay, now
Okay.
now everything makes sense for me.
Yeah.
So I'm very bad with celebrities, but I know that Killian Murphy is Irish. Am I right about that?
You are right. Yes. So that's how you're basing your favorite Irish celebrity on, the one that you actually know.
Exactly.
Very good. And what an interesting story prior to that you shared. And again, even if you did know her name, best kept a secret. Given the work that you do and working in a lot of the maternity hospitals, you were no doubt bound to come across a lot of what would be considered as Irish celebrities in what is quite a fragile state of care, I guess, when they're going through a childbirth. So, I'm sure you've had, no doubt, you'll have other passings with other Irish celebrities that you may or may not know about,
Oh
or
yeah,
someone might
most
highlight to
probably,
you later on.
mostly.
Very good. Okay, next one. Favorite Irish slang or a phrase that when you first heard, you thought, "What on earth are they saying here?"
Yeah, it would be grand, and you have to say it in a way like it's a combination of like everything will be fine, but in sometimes you get this feeling like there is an feeling of indifference, but at the same time there is a feeling of faith that everything will be fine. Okay, and I remember the first time I heard it, we had a like it was a complex case coming for surgery, and I remember I had a lot of problems, like medical problems. I went through the nose, everything, and then discussed it with the consultant. We had a lot of discussion, what we're going to do, what's the plan for them. Like we took a good while just trying to figure it out, and then at the end I remember they told me, look, to be grand. So I just like, what that mean? Like, do I need to do anything else? Like, 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 are we done here? Like, grand? Is it something good or bad? But after a while, like, I understood it. I got it because I think in Arabic we have something like that, and it's said exactly the same way. It's like that also shall pass, something like that. But it doesn't have the same feeling of it will be grand. It will be grand. It's just different. It just hits
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
And do you find yourself now saying that?
Yeah, a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we're working in a busy shift and it's just everything is going crazy and you don't have control on anything. Just at a point, you just say, "Look, it will be grand. It's fine."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so from confused to now an adopter to the it'll be grand, everything will work out. Very good, great stuff. And final one, in terms of home comforts, what one thing do you have when you go back to Egypt, or if any family or friends coming to visit, that you say, would you please pack that in your bag because I really miss it, or maybe you can actually get it here in Dublin.
the sun. I miss the sun.
Mohammed, don't do that.
Do you know the sun? Like the true sun?
Yeah, the sun in the sky that we see sometimes here. Yeah,
Yes. No, it's
that's
just
the
about
best one.
it's not about the sun, okay? So it's just the sun feels different in Egypt, okay?
Sure.
I don't know if people understand that or not, but when you go back to Egypt, the sun feels warm uh, on the body, okay? Like when you
Okay. Yeah.
when you can, yeah, like once the sun is out, it's warm. You can feel it on your body. It's very nice. It's very gentle. You get like me. I hardly get burned from sun in Egypt.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I'm the opposite now, Mohammed. If I was found in Egypt, I'm a pale, stereotypical Irish man, pale, ginger-haired, freckled-faced, any bit of sun, and I will, turn into a lobster. So we're very different that way, Mohammed.
So yeah, like here is different. So here the sun, no, it doesn't have the same warmth. It's not. It doesn't get
Yeah.
thing doesn't get warm with the sun. And at the same time, summertime sometimes it burns. Like I remember a couple of times I got burnt here from the sun,
Okay.
which doesn't add up for me. Like I don't know why it happens. Maybe because of the humidity. I'm not sure, but I miss the sun in Egypt, and nobody can back that from me.
No, they certainly can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat today. It's been so nice to hear that whole journey. Let's close it off with what for you and the family has been the best part of life here in Ireland.
I would say us being together. Yeah, because that's why we moved here. So in Egypt, in a lot of countries, the working conditions are just not as good as here. I know people complain here a lot about the working conditions. Everywhere people will be complaining of the working conditions with the rentals, the housing problems, blah, blah, blah. So people always keep complaining. But if you compare Ireland to other countries, no, the working conditions are much, much better. I remember I used to work about 90 or 100 hours a week. So I didn't get to see my parents. I didn't get
Wow.
to see my wife. And I remember when we moved here, we felt like newly married because we start to spend time together. Like, wow, okay, now we're knowing each
Yeah.
other. So that's one thing we love about Ireland. I get to spend time with them. I know it's busy. I know sometimes things get out of control, especially when the weekends when I'm on call, but still we are together. And that's why we're here.
That's huge and that's massive. And again, other doctors will definitely be able to resonate with that who are based outside of Ireland where they're working mental hours, they're not seeing their family, and are they seeing much reward for that? And you're dead right. There's always going to be something wherever you are in the world, wherever good the system is, there's always going to be something that's going to upset someone or not going to be preferable in terms of the conditions that they're working in. But the Irish system is good. And in terms of the hours that you are working, you actually get life and time back in
Yeah,
comparison to where a lot of people are coming from.
that's true. And the Irish people in general, they respect the family. Like family is a big thing in Ireland. Maybe in other countries or other Western cultures it's not the same, but I find no, it's in Ireland, no, the Irish people respect the family. It's something big. So when you tell them like you have a family commitment, you can do something for a family commitment, they completely understand it and they completely respect it.
Yeah, amazing. One bit of advice that you would give to anyone listening to this who might be on the fence about moving across or a little bit undecided, what would you say to them?
I would say do your research, right? Just make sure you know everything. It's like not everything fits everybody, so know what you want to do and see if that will suit you. That's all. But that needs again a lot of research, planning, talking to the right people, um, and then just take the risk and do it. That's it. If you're happy with everything.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much for taking the time away
Thank you.
from work and from the young family to join us and share your whole Irish story. And I no doubt that there's people out there who are going to find this really of value to them. Thanks again for joining us. We'll have
Thank
to
you,
meet
Graham.
up for that coffee very soon.
We will. Yeah, sure we will.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like what you heard today, please follow wherever you get your podcasts. Want to kickstart your relocation journey? Reach out to the team on our socials at Matchmates.